Hey, shalom, guys. So things are just getting worse. Trump yesterday said he would send the military to deploy a vaccine. Contact tracing laws are being passed in states throughout America and in countries throughout the world. Many places are using strict measures to mandate testing, testing that likely gathers people's DNA and is itself contaminated with some kind of uh, agent that gives you COVID 19. And the oppression is rapidly increasing. And in particular, 5G is rolling out rapidly. Trump signed into law um, a directive to rapidly roll out 5G, and it's been happening. And not just in America, but all over the world. During the lockdown, 5G installation was happening in full force. People were not consulted about whether they're okay with having cell phone towers which emit toxic radiation right near their houses, and certainly in the schools or right near the schools. This is now becoming a reality. And once the towers are set up, there's very little that citizens can do without resorting to crime. And it's looking really bad. All I can say is that this is a war of information. It's really striking how you look at the official news reports, and if comments are allowed, you see that all these comments calling out the news reports saying that they're complete propaganda and this is a takeover by the deep state. So the people, many people are speaking out. But one of the main things to speak out about is the grand deception that appears to be the case over here, which is the people coming down with symptoms that appear to be some kind of pneumonia or flu or what have you. That's very strange. That it's very likely that these are being caused by evil technologies, in particular the flu shot, and even more importantly, the 5G network itself. 5G network causes flu-like symptoms. And then a person goes and gets a test. The test has a very high false positive um, number of false positives. And so then the person thinks he has COVID 19. So warn people that their symptoms that their people are being told is COVID 19 could well be a result of 5G towers near where they live. And I'm from Melbourne, and I was just horrified to see, not really surprised to see, but horrified to see that just just on Friday or just earlier this week, they switched on the 5G network in Melbourne. This is official. They came out with a statement. They were so proud about it and excited about it. That latest technology has been deployed, and we're so advanced and high tech and up to date. And I hear of someone I am close to in Melbourne being rushed to hospital. So who knows how many people getting sick in Melbourne now and in future weeks and months will be the casualties of the 5G system and will be diagnosed as suffering from COVID 19. So there is evil technology being deployed against us. And it goes both ways, right? The COVID-19 is a cover for 5G. If people would realize that these symptoms are happening because of 5G, then they would rise up against 5G. So therefore, we're told that it's COVID-19 so that people will uh, be diverted and the truth will be covered up. Conversely, um, the, uh, the real goal is that COVID-19 creates a justification for even more surveillance and controls, which 5G will enable. So it all goes together in such a evil, sinister way. We need to alert people to what 5G is. I don't think it's necessarily possible to stop it. I have no idea what to do about it. To look into somehow protecting your house from it. Point out to people that 5G is not safety tested, that 5G was rolled out very quickly without a proper public debate. Um, People were not consulted about it. It has certain harms for the human body, and it's being put very close to where people live. It's not able to function at a distance. It needs to be much closer to where it is, to where the signal is to be picked up for it to work, because it's millimeter wave technology. So that means there's very powerful radiation we're being bombarded with far more than before. And um, I don't know what the solution to this is. You should certainly know that it's not this COVID-19 that we're told these symptoms are. New York had uh, installation and activation of the 5G network right before the supposed outbreak of COVID-19 in New York. All these people coming down with these symptoms, it is very likely was a result of the 5G network. It's also very likely was a result of the flu shot, or both. That's possible, that these symptoms being caused by both, or either, or both combined. We need to consider that these evil geniuses don't just have one trick up their sleeves, they have several, and they're able to combine them in an evil witch's brew. We must be on the lookout for these um, possibilities. Another very important um, evil technology that could well be part of the symptoms that people are coming down with is the constant spraying of chemtrails. Planes spraying chemicals and heavy metals, which is a military operation. And I'm told by someone living in Crown Heights that chemtrails planes were spraying very um, actively for months before the supposed COVID-19 outbreak. So what are they spraying? Metals. And that's also part of surveillance, because 5G picks up on metal. And so then 5G will be able to track people because they have metal in their bodies from chemtrails and from the flu vaccine, which contains metal. And so yeah, I'm not a scientist, and I don't understand all these details, but there are a lot of scientists and people with more of a science background who are talking about all these things, and we should be open to these possibilities. If someone says that they know it's COVID-19 because the COVID-19 is what the government is telling us because some health official said so, we should be asking them critical questions like, is the government telling us what are the harmful, um, possible harmful effects to the human body from chemtrails? And is there a correlation between heavy spraying of chemtrails and um, areas with large supposed outbreaks of COVID-19? And is there a correlation between people who got the flu shot and people who later on supposedly got COVID-19? Um, and is there a correlation between areas with heavy uh, outbreaks of COVID-19 and areas which activated the 5G networks? So if these issues aren't being discussed and they're all legitimate questions, at least, I mean, they're not acceptable, socially acceptable questions, but they're scientifically um, valid questions as far as I'm concerned. And so if these issues aren't being addressed, then the truth is being hidden from us. We're not being told about crucial information. We want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So if we're asking about, is there a correlation between the flu shot and the particularly new experimental flu shot that I was told was used in Italy in those areas with supposed heavy outbreak of COVID-19, and so on? And is there a correlation between people who got the flu shot and the people who got COVID-19? Well, if that is being ignored, well, there's no logic to that being ignored. So therefore, we have even more reason to be suspicious of the official story. There is evil technology being deployed all around us, and it's being hidden from us. Its true effects are being hidden from us, and we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how each of these technologies on their own, um, what harm they cause, and we don't know what harm they cause when combined. And if that is not a kosher topic to discuss, so you're talking to someone who is essentially just a yes man for the government. So tell people, warn people, they could be getting really sick, God forbid, but they shouldn't think there's necessarily something contagious. They shouldn't think that they need to wear a face mask or isolate themselves or what have you. They shouldn't trust any test. And they should absolutely avoid the government. Um, I would say they shouldn't go to a hospital. The hospitals are killing people. Aside from the fact, the hospitals will mean that you have to submit to contact tracing, and then everyone you came into contact with will also be quarantined, confined illegally against their will. So stay far away from anything to do with the government. Any interaction with any doctor really seems very dangerous at this point. Any government official, and if these contact tracers come to your house, you have to tell them that I plead the fifth, and that yep, You have no right to enter my house without a warrant. It will be a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And I don't need to talk to you. I need to answer any of your questions. And you have no right to come in here. And if they come in, cooperate with them as little as possible. Um, if they ask you about who you were in contact with, just don't answer the question. Just say, well, I was in contact with my family because I live with my family. But you know what? Who else I was in contact with? Who else I came near? I don't need to tell you that. And that's it. And that's all, you know. And I refuse to be subjected to a test. Do not take a test. If they come to your house and demand that you subject to a test, do not take a test. I don't know what, it's not clear to me just yet what consequences they will impose for refusing to take a test. Will it be criminal charges? It seems that that's the case, but I haven't seen enough on it. This is still new. We don't really know. Um, there will be criminal charges for refusing to cooperate with quarantine orders. So what that means is the police show up, not the police, the contact tracers show up, who are the new police, a new branch of the police, and they say, well, someone told us that you were in contact with them, and therefore you were exposed, and therefore, even though you're completely healthy, um, you have to quarantine for the next 2 weeks. So, in that case, if you leave the house, then you are subject to criminal charges. But what I'm not sure about is if you refuse to submit to a test when they show up, are you also subject to criminal charges for refusing to submit to the test? Perhaps they'll just say, oh, well, we will just assume, quote unquote, stay on the safe side. We'll assume that you have COVID-19 and therefore you must quarantine for the next 14 days. And if not, if we find out that you left the house, you will be subject to criminal charges. But it seems likely that they will go further and impose criminal charges simply for refusing to take the test. That I haven't seen strong proof for that, but it seems that that's the direction that things are going down. It's the more time goes by, the more harsh their measures are becoming. Another crucial issue, which sounds really like a major, just incredible change that will have to happen in society. Anyone who is aware of the truth of what is going on here with this whole evil agenda, anyone who knows must never take their mobile phone, their cell phone, outside their house. Never. Or take it out but have it switched off, maybe on airplane mode. I'm not sure if that's really effective. I don't know. I guess there'd be a way to test that using a device that measures electromagnetic frequencies. Maybe turn it off. I don't even know if that's effective. I hear that the phone is still active even when turned off. So I don't know. I think your best bet is simply to leave the phone at home. Or if it's an Android, you can take out the battery. It seems that that's effective. Take out the battery and then turn it on when you absolutely need it. If you're somewhere else. But basically, if you're carrying around a smartphone and it seems likely that there'll be no way to opt out of the contact tracing technology, And people are talking about somehow not downloading the app for contact tracing, opting out. I don't think that's possible. I I don't think long term that'll be possible. That's like a short term um, measure that they're giving people the illusion of being able to choice of having choice about whether to download the app, but really it will be they will find a way to activate it one way or another. Maybe the government will officially mandate it, or they'll just download it without people's knowledge, and that'll be it. So now we are in a position where we must choose between having a smartphone and um, being safe from uh, becoming a victim of contact tracing, or causing someone else to become a victim of the contact tracing Gestapo. It's really the exact mirror of the propaganda. Propaganda is you might catch the disease or you might spread the disease, right? You could be a completely healthy person and not have any symptoms. You're asymptomatic, but you could then spread the disease to someone else who could then get sick and die, right? So this is exactly parallel to what's happening with contact tracing. You could uh, you could be causing someone else to be classified as being exposed to COVID-19, and you're minding your own business, and then it might not affect you. Let's say you chose to take the test and uh, it tested negative, but then maybe uh, they had already gone to that other guy, right? And they tested him, and he tested positive with this faulty test, right? So there are all kinds of ramifications of simply having a smartphone active. So if you're woke, if you're aware of this truth, which you probably are if you're watching my broadcast right here, then you have to not have a cell phone outside the house. No smartphone can be used outside the house. I'm wondering if a basic phone will also work because that also tracks you. I don't know, but it's more likely that a basic phone will be uh, a safe option that needs to be investigated. So trade your smartphones in for basic phones, or at least switch off your smartphone account from your smartphones and keep the device perhaps, but keep it only in your house, because probably the technology works even without being subscribed to an account. So the contact tracing um, technology is following you and tracking you, even if your smartphone is not connected to a phone account. So therefore, it's not enough to deactivate your phone account. You have to simply not have a device at all outside the house. Um, so that's going to be a big issue. People are very dependent on their smartphones. That's the way the technology is designed, to create dependency on it. In fact, many people are probably watching this broadcast with their smartphone right now. So more long term, there will have to be a mass movement to ditch your smartphone in order to be safe from this ever-growing police state. The smartphone is a weapon of the cabal against you and your family. They use it to divide you from your family and from your friends and to expand their power. Divide you from your family, I say that because contact tracers are clearly planning to come into people's houses and remove parents from children and children from parents. That is the agenda. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that doesn't come to pass. But that seems to be the direction it's going from what I can tell. And we have to do something. At least each individual has to do something. He has to share with his friends. He has to protect himself or herself. Um, Cooperate as little as possible. Inform other people who might listen to you about what you know. Don't use a smartphone. Don't carry a smartphone down the street. Um, Maybe a basic phone will work. And above all, avoid going to hospitals at this time.